Welcome back students to our new YouTube channel Pharmax Tech, the division of excellence. So let's start to the most important chapter from modern pharmaceutics, and this is most important for your GPAT and CET exam preparation. So the topic name is parenterals. So let's start to this topic parenterals. So in that first we see some basic information about the parenterals. So in that the sterile products are the dosage forms of therapeutic agents that are free of the living microorganisms, and these may be includes the injectables, your ophthalmic preparations and ophthalmic solutions, and the irrigating preparations. So next we see the definition of the parenteral. So the parenterals are the sterile preparations. They are intended for the administration under or the through one or more layers of the skin or mucous membranes. And next we see the some pharmacopoeial storage conditions for the parenterals. So first is storage condition is cold storage or under the refrigeration, and the meaning of this in cold storage, that means any temperature not exceeding 8 degrees Celsius, and usually this cold storage is 2 to 8 degree Celsius. Next one is cool storage. The cool storage means the any temperature between 8 to 25 degrees Celsius as per Indian Pharmacopoeia, and 8 to 15 degrees Celsius as per United States Pharmacopoeia, that means your USP. Okay. Third one is room temperature. The room temperature means the temperature prevailing in working area, and the room temperature must be 20 to 25 degree Celsius maintained. Next one is warm temperature. So this warm means any temperature between 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. Next one is excessive heat. Excessive heat means any temperature above the 40 degree Celsius. This is known as excessive heat. Next one is freezer. The freezer means the storage between -5 to -20 degree Celsius. So in freezer the temperature should be in -5 to and -20 degree Celsius. The next one is deep freezer, and the meaning of deep freezer is the storage below is -18 degree Celsius is deep freezer. So in the deep freezer storage below the -18 degree Celsius must be kept. And next one is controlled room temperature. The controlled room temperature means the storage between 20 to 25 degree Celsius. So in the parenterals we see these preparations are your under the under area or in the skin or your mucous membrane. So there are various types of the parenteral are your intradermal, intravenous parenterals are available in the medical, and they are administered by the under your skin by the route of the administration route of the parenterals are must be your hand, your neck, or your any of the part that are give the injection. So those parts are useful for the injection. The parenterals are given from that. So the routes are intramuscular, intravenous, intraparietal, and skin, your skin membranes. Okay. So next we see the some IP terminologies of for the solubility. So as per Indian Pharmacopoeia terminologies for solubility, they are first one is very soluble, and the in very soluble approximate volume of solvent in ml per gram of solute, that in the very soluble the particles are less than 1 part. Next one is freely soluble. The freely soluble means 1 to 10 parts, and the soluble means 10 to 30 parts. And next one is sparingly soluble, and the sparingly soluble means 30 to 100 parts. And Next one is slightly soluble. Slightly soluble means 100 to 1000 parts, and very slightly soluble means 1000 to 10,000 parts. And last one is practically insoluble. So the practically insoluble are more than 10,000 parts. Okay, so these descriptive terms are most important for your GPAT exams because the solubility are and their parts are asked in the GPAT. For example, for free soluble, it is 1 to 10 parts, and there are mostly asked for the soluble for approximate volume of solvent in ml per gram of solute in soluble, and this is 10 to 30 parts. So these descriptive terms are most important. The next is types of water as per USP, that means United States Pharmacopoeia. The first part is purified water, and the method of preparation for purified water is distillation and ion exchange method. And this purified water is not pyrogen free, and the comment of purified water is in pharmaceutical solvent. Next one is WFI, that means water for injection. So the water for injection method of preparation is distillation or reverse osmosis. So distillation and reverse osmosis are the methods of preparation of water for injection. And this water for injection is, yes, definitely pyrogen free. And the comment of water for injection is this water for injection is not sterile, and this water for injection is must be used within 24 hours or stored below the 5 degrees Celsius or at 80 degrees Celsius. So next one is sterile water for injection. So the method of preparation of sterile water for injection is distillation or reverse osmosis. So this sterile water for injection is definitely, yes, pyrogen free. And the comment for sterile water for injection is this sterile water for injection is same as water for injection. So there is no compromise for water for injection and sterile water for injection. And for sterile water for injection, single dose container also used to reconstitute sterile solids and dilute the sterile solutions. Okay, next last one is bacteriostatic water for injection. And the method of preparation for bacteriostatic water for injection is distillation or the reverse osmosis. And this bacteriostatic water for injection is definitely pyrogen free. And the comment of bacteriostatic water for injection is the multiple and single dose is used in bacteriostatic water for injection. And the limit of total solid content in water for injection is 10 parts per million, that means 10 ppm, but for sterile water for injection it is 20 to 40 parts per million. So here we say that the limit of total solid content in water for injection, so the total solid content in water for injection is only 10 parts per million, but for the sterile water for injection it is vary, that means 20 to 40 parts per million. And the conductivity of water for injection should not more than 1 microm and 1 megaohm. So 1 megaohm is approximately 0.1 ppm of sodium chloride, that means NaCl. So 1 megohm is approximately 0.1 parts per million NaCl. So next is hypodermal subcutaneous routes. So in the hypodermal subcutaneous route, the injection is injected under the skin layer, and in that the aqueous or oily suspension and oily solutions cannot be given by subcutaneous route, and insulin is given by subcutaneous route. So here is most important that aqueous or oily suspensions and oily solutions cannot be given by the subcutaneous route, that means under the skin or under your any parts of the body in each subcutaneous route, or that means skin or in other parts. Okay, so next one is intradermal, intraacutaneous. So in the intradermal and intracutaneous route, the injection is injected into the dermis, that means skin, and the volume is 0.1 to 0.2 ml in intradermal intracutaneous route. And this intradermal intracutaneous route, it is used for the diagnostic purpose or drug sensitivity testing. And the examples of intradermal intracutaneous injections examples is tuberculin skin test. So the tuberculin skin test is the example of the intradermal intracutaneous route of the parenteral administration. So these are the discussions. Here we discuss the various routes of the parenterals. So the next route is intramuscular route, that means IM, intramuscular route. So basically in the intramuscular route, the injection is injected into the skeletal muscles, that means your bones, they are more strong. So the your shoulder bone, so the intramuscular route injected into the skeletal muscles, and volume is 2 to 4 ml. So the intramuscular routes volume of dose is 2 to 4 ml, and in the aqueous or oily suspensions and oily solutions can be given by this intramuscular route. And these aqueous or oily suspension and oily solutions cannot be given by subcutaneous route and given by intramuscular route. Okay, next one is intravenous route, by your venous. So in the intravenous route, the injection is injected into the vein, and the volume is up to 500 milliliter or more than large volume known as infusion fluid. So in intravenous, the infusion fluid is also given when the large dose is required for the patient, and also the injection is injected into the vein, and the volume is up to 500 milliliter. And these intravenous, in that only aqueous preparations are used in the intravenous route of administration. So the next one is intrathecal. So in the intrathecal route of administration, the injection is injected into the spinal cord, and the intrathecal injections volume is less than 20 ml. So basically intrathecal, the injection is given into the spinal cords and the volume is less than 20 milliliter. And the intrathecal injections are for spinal anesthetics and antibiotics. So the for spinal anesthesia and in case of antibiotics, the intrathecal route is used for the parenterals. Solution is given by intrathecal route in case of spinal anesthesia. So the next one is formulation of additives for the parenterals. So in that, first one is aqueous vehicles. Aqueous vehicles used in formulation for the parenterals, they are sodium chloride injection, ringer solution, dextrose solution, and lactated ringer solution, and also water for injection. They are ideal for the parenterals. They are sodium chloride injection, ringer solution, lactated ringer solution, and dextrose solution are aqueous vehicles. And next one is water miscible. So the water miscibles additives for parenterals, they are ethyl alcohol, propylene glycol, propylene ethylene glycol 300, 400, and 600, and glycerin. They are water miscible additives for the parenteral. The next one is non-aqueous. So the non-aqueous additives for the parenterals, they are fixed oils like ethyl olate, isopropyl myristate, peanut oil, sesame oil, corn oil, cotton seed oil, and soybean oil. These are non-aqueous additives for the parenterals. Next one is antimicrobacterial preservatives, and first one is phenyl mercuric nitrate, and this is dose is 0.001%, and second one is phenyl mercuric acetate, is dose is 0.002%, that means 0.002%. So there are 0.2 zeros in before the 2. That means 0.002% phenyl mercuric acetate and phenyl mercuric nitrate 0.001% and methyl paraben is 0.01 to 0.18% and propyl paraben is 0.005 to 0.035% and thiomersal is 0.001 to 0.02% and benzyl alcohol as antimicrobacterial preservative benzyl alcohol is 0.5 to 10% and phenol is 0.065 to 0.5% and chlorobutanol is 0.25 to 0.50%. So these percentage are not more important, but the antimicrobacterial preservatives are most important and they are phenyl mercuric nitrate, phenyl mercuric acetate, methyl paraben, propyl paraben, thiomersal, phenol, benzyl alcohol and chlorobutanol. These are antimicrobacterial preservatives used in the parenteral preparations. So next we see some antioxidants in the parenteral. So the first one is antioxidants. They are reducing agents. So the antioxidants in reducing agents, they are ascorbic acid, sodium bisulfite, sodium metabisulfite and thiourea. They are antioxidants and they are reducing agents and they are all are used for the aqueous systems in the parenterals and their usual concentration of ascorbic acid is 0.02 to 0.1% and sodium bisulfite concentration is 0.1 to 0.15% and sodium metabisulfite concentration is 0.1 to 0.15% and thiourea concentration of thiourea is 0.005% and these are all used for the aqueous systems. So the next one is antioxidants. So antioxidants means in that the oxidation chain blockers by interacts with free radicals and these antioxidants are ascorbic acid esters, butyl hydroxy toluene that means BHT and butyl hydroxy anisole that means BHA and these usual concentration of butyl hydroxy anisole is 0.01 to 0.015% and next one is non-dihydrogonergic acid that means NDGA non-dihydrogonergic acid is and tocopherols and the usual concentration of these tocopherols is 0.005 to 0.02% and these are all ascorbic acid ester, butyl hydroxy toluene, butyl hydroxy anisole, tocopherols and dihydrogonergic acid. These are all are used for the oily systems for the parenterals. And next one is synergist. So the synergists are ascorbic acid, citric acid, tartaric acid, phosphoric acid and chelating agents like ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid salts that means your EDTA. Okay, and the usual concentration, let's see. First one synergist is ascorbic acid and usual concentration of ascorbic acid is 0.01 to 0.05% and next synergist is citric acid is concentration is 0.005 to 0.01% and tartaric acid concentration is 0.01 to 0.02% and phosphoric acid concentration is 0.005 to 0.01% and last one is chelating agents that means EDTA concentration is 0.01 to 0.075%. So basically we in the formulation of additives of parenterals aqueous vehicles like sodium chloride injection, Ringer solution, lactated Ringer solution, dextrose solutions are used as a aqueous vehicles and water miscibles. So the water miscibles are ethyl alcohol, propylene glycol, PEG 300, 400, 600, maybe anyone, glycerin and also glycerin is water miscible. Next one is non-aqueous like fixed oils like ethyl olate, isopropyl myristate. So all the oils are non-aqueous in parenterals. Peanut oil, sesame oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, soybean oil and any other oil are non-aqueous. Next one is antimicrobacterial preservatives. They are phenyl mercuric nitrate, phenyl mercuric acetate, methyl paraben, propyl paraben, thiomersal, benzyl alcohol, phenol and chlorobutanol. Next one is antioxidants. So the antioxidants in the reducing agents, they are ascorbic acid, sodium bisulfite, sodium metabisulfite and thiourea. They are all are used for the aqueous systems. Next one is antioxidants. So antioxidants are oxidation chain blockers by interacts with the free radicals. They are ascorbic acid esters, butyl hydroxytoluene, butyl hydroxyanisole, nor dihydrogoneric acid and tocopherols. They are all are used for the oily systems of the parenterals. And last one is synergists. So the synergists are ascorbic acid, citric acid, tartaric acid, phosphoric acid and your chelating agents like EDTA, that means ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid salts. And next is, note that most important, remember that the ampoules are hermetically sealed, that means high temperature fusion, and they are, first one is tip sealed and second one is pool sealed. So the methods like tip sealed and pool sealed are used for the sealing of the ampoules, and vials or bottles are sealed and capped in the parenterals. And next one is terminal sterilization method. This terminal sterilization method by autoclave for aqueous solution and dry heat for the oily solutions are used. So in the GPAT there is the question, which method is used in the parenteral for the aqueous solutions, and the right answer is autoclave method, and for oily solutions the method is dry heat sterilization. Next one is CIP means clean in place and SIP means sterile in place. And next one is defects are usually expressed in terms of acceptable quality levels, that means AQL, and the more critical AQL are less than 1. So this is most important, that defects are usually expressed in the terms of AQL, that means acceptable quality levels, and the more critical acceptable quality levels are less than the 1. Next one is positive pressure is normally found in aseptic and sterile area, that means in class 100 area. So this class 100 area is most important for your from parenterals. So in your reference books there are various class area are given, so you can go through this class area, but most important is class 100 area, in that the positive pressure is normally found in aseptic and sterile area. This is class 100 area. Next one is aseptic process validation and by sterile media fill, that means this sterile media fill is known as broth fills. Next one is HVAC. So the HVAC means heating, ventilation and air conditioning methods. So these heating, ventilation and air conditioning are most important in the parent. Welcome back students to our new YouTube channel PharmaX Tech, the division